Okay, welcome to another edition of Real Estate Investor Talk, and I'm sitting here with Wikus Lategan, and Wikus is the CEO of Calgro M3, property development company listed on the JSE. Wikus, welcome, and tell us a little bit about the history of Calgro M3. Where did it all start?
Well, Calgro M3 started in 1995 by the Three Stain brothers. They started in those days, I think, upper room. We always said working late at night, almost doing two jobs. We were later joined by the Maherba brothers in 2001, BNP and Brandmalover. And effectively what they focused on was just typical cluster developers in four ways and the like, a bit of developments in the West Rand, and also a bit of affordable housing. They listed on the Alternative Exchange in 2007, raising some capital, and at that stage they were solely focused on the mid to high cluster development market. In 2008, through the recession, we were forced to restructure the business model, and we went to sit back and say, what should we do? And we decided at the bottom end of the market, and not specifically affordable houses, but affordable houses, the gap market, fully subsidized. That's a market where we believe the sustainable need is Africa. If you look at short statistics, we reckon the market in that is 4 million plus housing backlog in South Africa. So that's how it all started. Today we're the biggest integrated developer in South Africa. We focus on bringing community or people from different backgrounds, different communities together. We do fully subsidized FLISP and units, gap housing, social housing, rental housing, and affordable housing. Together in one, we effectively build new suburbs. If you look at Fleurhof, which is my back, there's roughly 10,500 units in the current Fleurhof project as we know it.
So just tell us, where did it actually switch over? So it's 2008, you were doing a little bit of, which was the first affordable housing development that you started with?
So the first integrated development was Pennyville. We started with that towards the end of 2008. Pennyville is in Maritzburg. You get off the Maritzburg off-ramp. So
yes.
Integrated housing only work in primarily located land. You can't go and do that out in the outskirts. That's also why we focus on the metros.
Right.
So yeah, that's where it started. And
then after that, where did it go? Because you took quite a switch from, as you say, from mid to
it took us about 3 years to restructure the business. We still do a bit of work, I must say, in the mid to high end of the market, but that's minimum. I don't think it's 1 or 2% of our revenue.
Yeah.
That's effectively trading out the stock that was on listing.
Okay.
So we started in Pennyville in 2009, challenging times, having a lot of school fees.
Mm-hmm.
Our contractor at the time, we didn't have an in-house big enough construction division. Our contractor was a company by the name of CK. They went under. We had to build construction capacity quickly. Then we moved on to Fleurhof. Then we moved on. We started a project down in Cape Town called Scottsdene. We today have the South Hills project, which is South Wimmerpan of Joburg. We're doing some developments in Midrand. So now it's almost throughout the country. We don't have a footprint yet in KZN Northwest, and that's most probably the next places we'll move to.
So obviously you've identified a massive demand in that, obviously, that entry level market. Tell us a little bit about the thinking behind that whole sort of entry level.
I think it's all about making a difference in people's lives. I specifically believe that if you want to be in business, you have to make a difference. If you use the example of fuel companies, if you're just another fuel company which people can put in fuel across the road, then you lost your currentness, you lost your feasibility to be in the market. If you look at where Calgro is, we're saying Calgro have to make a difference every day. We have to be different. We have to do things other people are not doing. So if you look at our product mix, we keep on enhancing it as we go along. So effectively, what we say is, as I said earlier, we bring people from different communities together. We've got a turnkey business approach. We acquire the lands all privately owned. Then we do all professional fees professional services in-house, so you save from all those fees. And then we go to market 10-15% under the current market price of properties. So effectively, people moving into our developments, we call it homes, not houses. A house is a roof over your head. A home is a complete lifestyle change. So we believe because we do that lifestyle change, because we've got schools, shopping centres, creches, lots of greening, we plant a tree per every house or unit we do. We plant all the grass-free developments. Through in partnership with the council, we make sure that public transport are close to your home. If you look at the Fleurhof project again, your BRT bus route goes through the project, not to the border of the project. If you look at our Ballard project in Cape Town, 20 minutes uninterrupted by train into city centre, on the bus route as well. So it's all about making a difference. bringing people closer to job opportunities, gives them more time at home, uplift their weekends by parks for the kids to go and play in, schools in the area, shopping centres and the like. So it's all a very much upliftment model. But of course, we're a public listed entity, as you started off.
Yes.
Our goal is to make money, but we're not trying to make 40-50% gross margins. We're saying between a 20 and 30% margin. We believe we build a sustainable product, we've got a big enough investment case for investors to invest in Calgro, and that's driving the growth.
When did the listing? Were you listed right from the outset?
So we listed in 2007 on Alternative Exchange, and we migrated to the main board in 2012.
Okay, we were talking a little bit earlier about the culture of the business in terms of you've spoken about 2 sets of directors, and I think you are fairly new in the company. Just tell us a little bit, when did you come into the company, your background in terms of, because I think you were talking about rejuvenation, new ideas and that kind of stuff coming in.
Yeah, just to clarify, I don't think there's 2 sets. I think the founding members have always been quite creative. That's why they're in property and in this business.
Right.
But all quantity surveying background.
Okay.
I joined in 2008. Well, unofficially, I joined just before the listing. I done the first integrated report. I was an IFRS specialist at the time. Don't think I know much by now anymore, but effectively I joined as consultant. 1st of August 2008, I joined as financial director. Appointed 2015 as managing director, and 1st of March this year as CEO. So I think it's a creative team, difficult team to manage. If you look at the executive level, we're 6 or 7 very diversified individuals, different backgrounds, different expertise set, different conservative levels, which is very important in this business. You need the blue sky people that absolutely thinks of driving this business forward, but you always need a sense of reason to say, guys, have you thought of the following options? You need technical experts. So very diverse team, and I think that's always been a strength of the team. It's also very nice, it's very informal structure.
Right.
I don't think there's a hierarchy. There's definitely no titles in-house in Calgro. It's a flat structure. Even if our middle management structure say, guys, anyone can come with ideas. Anyone can see how we can enhance a product offering. From a management level, we work on the same level. Everyone actually gets their hands dirty where it's required at a certain time. As I said, it makes it difficult from a management level or to manage a team, but it's a very like a diverse structure.
Okay, so what can we expect new from a product perspective going forward, or is it more of the same?
I think from a product perspective, in affordable housing, there's very limited you can do. It's definitely more of the same, but with a difference. But I think it's been like that the last few years. We're always trying to improve. If you look at what we've done the last year, we went to a very modern type of bathroom, even in most affordable units. We've done a granite upgrade on all kitchens, even in a unit that cost just over 300,000 rand. In Cape Town, we're now launching units under 300,000 rand of granite top kitchens. As I said, it's all about the upliftment. Going forward, there's a lot of green focus. We launched a new property portfolio with SA Corporate. Very nice team to work with, again, very diverse team, very entrepreneurial team. And what we said is, how can we make a difference in the rental market, in the affordable housing space? So there we're going to get everything as green as possible. There's lots of studies done to say, why do people move out of rental accommodation? And one of the interesting factors is electricity prices. They can budget for the rental, but they cannot afford high electricity prices. So in all our units, we try to use green power for both cooking and water heating, lots of isolation, lots of security upgrades coming to units. To say, can't we put in individual alarms in all of these units? People have this perception of everyone wants a big house and a big stand. The reality is a single mom wants a 3rd story unit. Her parents can stand on the bottom story, look after the kids during the day while she seeks job opportunities. We're going into the Memorial Park space, much bigger, much more national footprint. That's also a very cultural driven business. There's a great need to restore dignity in the burial space, and that's what we're trying to roll out there. The property portfolio, the residential, we set ourselves a target which is the public domain of 15 billion rand within 5 years. So very much coming from 0 to 15 billion, lots of work to be done. So I think lots of the same, but with a difference. We'll always see how we can add value-added services as well.
Okay. So we're talking to investors out there, and a lot of them will be intrigued, well, how can I invest in Calgro? What are the opportunities to invest and where they are?
So firstly, the Calgro share price. I think the Calgro share price went from 2009, 26 cents to roughly 18, 19 rand today, peaked at 22 rand, but the last 6-7 months economic condition didn't do us any favors as well. I think individual units, so where do we sell units? We sell units to government, to the individuals, to socializing companies, rental companies, investors. We do a lot of properties which we sell to high net worth individuals. To say, if you look at rental yields, if you buy a block of say 20 units, the reality is a unit that costs you 340,000 rand, you can get a 4,000 rand rental on. And that's just the dynamics of credit records in that space. And then people will immediately ask you, but listen, my default rates, my vacancy is going to be more in this market and top end of the market. I think that banks have done a lot of statistics to say, listen, if you look at bond defaults are less in the bottom end of the market than the high end of the market. Same with rental. There's such shortfalls. If you look at the rental shortfalls, we predicted to be somewhere between 1 million and 1.5 million units. People know if they have to move out of the unit, they might not find alternative accommodation. So they pay their rent quite diligently. The company we have in partnership now with is a corporate company called AFCO. They own it 100%. They were started in 1996, so they roughly also have a 21-year track record. And their bad debt default rate to date, average, was 1.76% per year. So very good in this space. Now they have focused predominantly on inner city developments. We're now going slightly out of the inner city, but still focused on the metros. So we believe a very, very good yield you can get on that by acquiring rental stock.
Clearly, the banks have identified the first-time home buyers market is definitely a big market which they're going to focus on, and you've actually confirmed that in terms of the low defaults in this particular market sector. That bodes well for finance at that level, and also FLISP, getting mortgage aid. Is that something which is to the benefit of the business?
Yeah, most definitely. Well, our whole business model is around it. It's built around that.
Yeah.
So if you look at, we're property developers by nature. Everything we do will have a property development theme to it.
Yeah.
But if you look at comparing that to the mid-tier of the mid-tier of the market is currently very strong. We looked at developments in that market. But if you look from a sustainability level, I quoted shortfall statistics earlier. If you take South Africa, roughly have 54 million people. 3.3, the new national average, always been slightly higher, but the new national average according to statistics South Africa is 3.3 people per household. That brings you to a need of 16 million houses in Africa. We only, the last year's statistics was 6.27 million houses in South Africa. There's a need of 10 million houses. Let's say there's top end, high end, there's people that never qualify. You at least need 4 million in this space. If you take after fully subsidized, which the Minister Lewis Sisulu quotes as 2 million, 2.1 million, there's close on 2 million affordable houses needed. Currently in South Africa, if you look at NHBRC statistics, we're only building 37 to 40,000 houses per year. So we're not making a dent in that shortfall. Again, also the top end of the market, people's got choices. In this end of the market, although we try to uplift them and put something special in the market, it's such a need. Housing is not a luxury. Yeah. People need a roof over their head. Yeah. And that's why we see the need in this market. We will effectively play across property, residential property sectors, and continue to develop. We'll go where the market is, but we see a very sustainable market in this. As well for investors, as I said, rental yields astonishing in this market.
Okay, Wikus, so parting shots, the company seems to be going in the right direction. Okay, so, and I think you probably attracted a lot of interest. There's a lot of good reason to get into the company there. Give us your parting shots on how you'd ideally like to see that panning out.
Ideally planning out is always a realistic term. I think if Calgro can continue to make a difference, I already said, you have to remain current. Yes. You have to do something new. You have to remain different. I believe this is a market which is almost unlimited. There's more legs in this market or too little legs in this market. If you look at the shortfall, if we can continue to build 5, 6, build it up to 10, even 15,000 houses a year, we won't make a dent in the shortfall still. I think it makes the company very sustainable. I think rental yields are now starting to retain some of our own stock in partnership with a corporate which will manage the rentals. I believe we can build a rental pot. There's a need of, I already said, between 1 million and 1.5 million. There's no reason we cannot build this to 50, 60, even 100,000 units in that rental pot. At 4,000 rand a month, that's quite an astonishing yield you'll get from that. It is more, just in closure, it is more expensive. Investors have to remember, If you invest in a shopping centre, you might have 10 tenants. If you invest in, say, 2,000-3,000 units that cost very similar to a shopping centre, you've got 3,000 tenants. You have to manage each of those 3,000 tenants. You have to look after them, you have to recoup rental and all of it. But there's good systems out there. It was developed. So I believe in total, very good investment market. Calgro is now very well diversified. We play both sides of the economic cycle and interest rate cycle. Why do I say that? Effectively, if the economy is stable or interest rates are stable, you'll sell a lot of houses. If it's strengthening, the environment is strengthening because of the shortfall, and also if interest rates go down, you'll sell even more houses. On the other side of the coin, we are in stringent economic times. We are in times when there's lots of uncertainty, specifically South Africa. And then you say, but people still need a place to stay. Although they might have the confidence or financial means to buy a house at that stage, they'll rent. So we've got a very nice economic split there. And then we added the memorial parks. Memorial parks effectively give you that culture element, which no one can take away. So from that perspective, I believe Calgro as such, and even our products are good investments.
Thank you. Wikus, thank you very much for the opportunity.
Appreciate your time.